Electrifying my camping setup has been a goal of mine for quite some time. I'm going to do a head-to-head comparison between these two unique electric cooking systems and my Jetboil gas stove. We're going to look at some of the barriers to entry to electrifying your cooking setup. We'll take a look at the pros and cons to each of these three unique systems. And as a bonus, we'll take a look at the electrified competitor to the extremely popular Jetboil Flash. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll have a little bit more knowledge when it comes to electrifying your camping and overlanding setups. If you guys don't want to watch this entire video, you just want to go check out the products for yourself, here's a QR code for the Stoke Voltiacs cooktop system. You want to check it out. And here's a QR code for the generic inductive cooktop that you can grab on Amazon that we're using in today's video. And if you want to take a look at the Jetboil Genesis, which we're going to compare these to, here's a QR code that you can scan with your phone, and it's going to take you to a link to check these out. These are affiliate links. They don't charge you any additional money if you click on them, but I do get a small commission. It comes back to me, helps support making these videos, grabbing products, and going on adventures for you guys to have awesome content. So I appreciate it if you check them out, and they're also down in the description below. Now, for the last couple of years, I've been bringing this with me. This is a generic home use inductive cooktop. Now, if you're unfamiliar with inductive cooktops, you can see my Jeep in the background, look at that. They use electricity and magnets to then heat the cookware that you have on them. So they only work with, I believe it's ferrous metals is the right term. Basically, if it's magnetic. This is the Jetboil Genesis. This has been an absolute rock solid piece of cooking equipment that I've brought everywhere with me. But I'm so tired of carrying around these gas canisters, and if you run out, you can't cook anymore. So with electricity, we run out of juice, we can charge our portable power station in our Jeep, and then now we can keep cooking. So in today's video, I wanted to take a look at this cooking system from Stoke Voltiacs. So it does use household 110 electricity, but if we take the pot off, the burner is more compact. It's plastic, it doesn't have any glass on it. I wanted to take a look at the ins and outs of this to see, is this something that I could start bringing with me rather than bringing this glass top inductive cook system? I've had this in the back of my Jeeps for the last 2 years. This has gone on the Rubicon Trail, it's gone to Moab, it's gone to countless mountains and lakes throughout British Columbia, and it still works. So durability wise, this has survived everything. Now this pot and pan system from Stoke Voltiacs is not the only thing that I want to check out today, because they also have this guy here, the Jewel. This is a very much like a Jetboil, but instead of using a gas canister on the back, we can plug it into our portable power station. And it doesn't require a massive amount of output from a portable power station to actually use this. This is a multi-function device. Right now you can see I have, look at this, the French press plunger in it. So you can use this to make coffee, as well boil water, or you can have it sit at a temperature and just sustain and simmer something. Maybe you want to make soup. And it actually has a third secret function, which I'll show you a little later in the video. Is this something that I could use to replace my coffee making system? Now, I have been using an electrified coffee making system. Those of you that watch the adventure videos, you'll know that the Nespresso portable coffee system comes out all the time. And this has been my go-to for coffee in the mornings on every single trip for, I think, probably 4 years now. This thing is scratched, banged up, everywhere on it here has marks. This has been everywhere on the west coast of US and Canada. It still works. I gotta give it to Nespresso. This thing is an absolute tank. It's super convenient. If you've got an inverter that can put out 1,000 watts, this will make you coffee in like 60 seconds in the morning, and you don't have to worry about getting anything else out. You just grab this, plug it in, make your coffee, put it back, you're done. So I won't take you on a full tour of the Jetboil Genesis. If you want to check that out, there is a video. I hope I'm pointing at the right corner. I'll put a link to it right there because I did a full walkthrough tour and performance test of this. But I will show in this video how long it takes to boil water on this so that we can have some comparisons between the generic inductive cooktop and the Stoke Voltiacs cooking system. First off, let's cover pricing. Now, keep in mind, pricing fluctuates, changes, there's sales, discounts, and all that. And I'm in Canada, so these are gonna be Canadian prices. Now, you may be able to find a different price on a US website, but I'm not gonna go digging and searching around. Just Google it, you'll find it. So my inductive cooktop that's been in my Jeep for the last couple of years, this was about $79 on Amazon. The Jetboil Genesis, now this is a 2-burner stove. This goes for over $500. This is $520 for this kit. This isn't part of the kit. This goes with this pot. This is the kit. So you get a pot, a pan, a lid, the 2-burner stove, and the case, $520. Now you can get the single burner Genesis, the half-gen base camp, which is $269, but it doesn't come with a pot. And if you want to pick up one of these pots, Jetboil sells a replacement pot for $99 itself. Now the price of the Stoke Voltiacs is not far off from the Jetboil Genesis system. This is $439 Canadian, and this includes the lid, the 1 liter pot. So this may look like it contains more than 1 liter, but right here it says max safe fill. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, why I think that line is there and why it's important. Now this also includes a double lock handle, so even when you flick this handle off, you still have to push the button to release it to let it go all the way, and then you can clip it on, boom. And it's a very stout handle. You can flip this around. It doesn't, you know, wobble. I don't know what I want to say there, but it feels like a regular pot handle. And then we also get the shallow pan, which you have to use the handle for both of these. You don't get 2 handles, you get 1 handle. And we get the shallow pan here, and this is more for like frying. It's got some texture in the bottom, and these are all non-stick as well. And then we can't forget about the lid. This feels like aluminum. It's extremely lightweight. I can bend it. It's fairly flimsy. It does work with both the pot or the pan, and they keep the notch for the handle in there. This is where I want to really show off the big difference in using a traditional inductive cooktop with a pan versus the Stoke Voltiacs system. So this is a generic inductive cooktop. It'll work with any compatible pan that's ferrous, which I think that's the right term. Magnetic, right? Magnetic inductive cooktop. Put a pot on here. You can replace your pans super easy. Just buy any one you want at Walmart, Amazon, your favorite pan store, and you can use it with this. Now this does have a glass top, so you have to be careful, and I put some foam on top of it when I'm packing this up. With the Stoke Voltiacs system, this is a proprietary base with a plug on it, sort of a plug. It's like a 360-degree plug. And the inductive cooktop is built on to the pots and pans, and then you get this circular base that when you put it on here, it drops in and it gets its electricity, which activates the cooktop. But you can't use any pot and pan on this base. It has to be the proprietary one from Stoke Voltiacs. And that holds true for the pot and the pan. So the pan, I'm gonna get this mixed up. The pot and the pan both have these on the bottom. So that's 2 things this does. First of all, this makes this an extremely heavy pot or pan. Second, if you scratch these up, you've got to buy the proprietary Stoke Voltiacs pot and pan. Now, is that really a concern? I've been using the Jetboil pan for 3 or 4 years, quite a long time. You know, a lot of trips, a lot of cooking on this pan, as well in this pot. You guys have all seen Chef John on our adventures making stuff on this exact system. And I have not found the need to replace these yet. So as far as durability goes, I'm not sure that that is a major downfall, having a proprietary pot, because, well, Jetboil does the same thing. Look at the bottom of this thing. It's got all these little fins in it to hold the heat in. It actually goes over top of the fire and spreads that heat around. This just seems like a lot of wasted material. The fact that you have to build in the cooktop into every pan, it seems a bit wasteful. But when you create something proprietary and it fails, wears out, or gets damaged, that means you have to come back to your company to buy a replacement. So now I can't go on Amazon and just buy a generic pot or pan. I have to go back to Stoke Voltiacs and buy this exact one. So that's just my theory. If you guys have some other theories or thoughts or know the reason why they built these into the pots, leave it down in the comments below and I'll check them out. But beyond durability and replaceability, the big drawback I see with this system is that we can only have a liter of water in here, or at least that's what they recommend here, max safe fill. I think the reason for that is If this boils over and the water comes down the side and underneath, this is a 120 volt connection. This is like a plug into your wall, I guess. It says 120 volt right here, so I'm assuming that 120 volts, 1000 watts passes through this 360 connection in the bottom, and I'm guessing they don't want water boiling over into this live active connection when you've got this thing cranked up to 1000 watts. That seems like a recipe for a problem, like electrocution. On a regular inductive cooktop, if it boils over, no big deal. It just goes on the cooktop. There are some vents in the back. I guess it could go down and under and get in there and electrocute you, but I don't know. But the point is that if it boils over, it's just gonna go on the cooktop. I mentioned that this is only 1 liter. That's not a lot of water if you're cooking for more than just yourself, especially if you wanna make some pasta, make some soup. I've made stew in this thing. Oh, some really good stew in the middle of winter. And so having a large volume pot is important. Now, I can't use the aluminum pot on my inductive cooktop, but I can very easily buy a Ferris pot. I can buy a pan that suits whatever needs I have, whether it's a flat pan. I have a pan that has some grill marks in it because you want to make your burgers look fancy, but this wears out. I can replace it with something else. I need a wider pan. I can get a wider pan. I need a deeper pan or pot. Easy, no problem. Now I've added 1 liter of water to each one of these pots. Quick conversion on how much 1 liter of water is for my American friends. 1 liter of water equals 1 liter of water. And we'll measure just the total time it takes to bring each of these systems to a boil. Now, if you're going to be electrifying your camping setup, you're going to need a stout portable power system like this EcoFlow here. This is the new EcoFlow Delta 3. It can put out 1800 watts of continuous AC output through its inverter. And I've also partnered up with EcoFlow to support making this video this week. Let me introduce you to EcoFlow's new 12 volt 100 amp hour Life PO4 battery. It weighs nearly half of what a lead acid battery does with up to twice the stored capacity. This is a great solution from a trusted company like EcoFlow for battery and inverter setups like you may have in your camper or trailer. I'm going to put a pair of these in my friend Gretchen's trailer, saving her nearly 70 pounds and giving her a huge upgrade to her battery and power system. I'll put some links down in the description below if you want to check these out for yourself and pick yourself up some 12 volt batteries or anything else that EcoFlow sells, because they have a ton of great portable power solutions. Now, we can do this test with the lids on, but then we can't actually see when the water is boiling. You may get slightly better performance with the lids on. Let's do it with lids off so we can see exactly when each of these comes to a boil. We'll fire up the Jetboil first, which is great. It has a little built-in thing there. We're going to set this to maximum. Crank this right up all the way. The inductive cooktop has all the way up to 1800 watts of power, so we can set the power setting. We can crank this up to 1800 watts. The Stoke Voltiacs system we can set to 1000 watts, so we'll crank that right up to 1000 watts. We'll give this one the starter's advantage. We'll get this guy going next. It's gonna stop airing at us. Set it to max, and we'll put our Jetboil on at the same time and see how long it takes to boil 1 liter of water. I'm a few seconds behind. Had to get my stopwatch out here. Let's put that down there so you guys can keep an eye on our timer as we go. Something else that I was thinking about too is the actual footprint, and I'll show you in a second on the back of the tailgate of the Jeeps. But to use the Jetboil, even with a single burner system, you have to have much more space for the tank on the side to hang out. And when you have the 2 burners, it takes up quite a bit of width on your tailgate table. The induction cooktop, obviously is just as big as its footprint. Now you can't detach the power cord from it, which is kind of nice with the Stoke Voltiacs system for compactness and putting away and stowing. You can't see, but I don't want to move the camera from the timer, but we're pulling about 1000 watts, 960 watts off of the EcoFlow, which pairs up with the 1000 watts that we are pulling off the Stoke Voltaic setting that we have on here. And I've got this plugged directly into the wall because I can't run I can't run both of these at the same time on this power station. It would be 2,800 watts. Might be able to do it for a short period of time with X boost, but I didn't want to start tripping things. Now we can see the Jetboil, guys. The Jetboil is already burnt, almost ready to be boiling that water. We're at 2 minutes plus a bit of time, and you can see we've got a almost rolling boil here going. It's steaming like crazy. It's not quite boiling yet. I think we can call that boiling. That is a rolling boil at just over 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We'll turn that down for a steam up my camera completely. So now this is a 1,000 watt hour EcoFlow Delta 3 Plus. Now the 1,000 watt hours means that it can run a load at 1,000 watts for 1 hour. So if you're trying to plan out how much cooking time you might want with an inductive cooktop, it's super easy. You just take a look at how many watts you're going to use and how much time you want to use that for, and make sure you have enough capacity in your portable power station to do that. So if you're going to run this at max 1,800 watts, you're probably going to get about 35 minutes of runtime off a 1,000 watt hour power station. Now I use a 2,000 watt hour with a 2,000 watt hour expansion battery, so I have 4,000 watt hours that I bring with me camping, which means I could run this cooktop at 1,800 watts, full crank, which you're not going to cook at full wattage. You're going to probably use this at 600 to 800 watts for simmering, frying, and stuff like that. But at full 1,800 watts with 4,000 watt hours, I could run that for probably 2.5 hours non-stop with my power station. So it just kind of depends on how much juice you have, how big your inverter is, how big your batteries are. That's how much power you've got. So you can see the inductive cooktops are a little slower than Jetboil's awesome system that kind of envelops the flame and keeps all of the heat in there. We're at 4.5 minutes and we're still waiting for the inductive cooktop to come to a boil. We just crossed the 6-minute mark. The induction cooktop is just starting to hit a rolling boil, but the Stoke Voltiacs system is just about to hit a boil as well. So I'm going to call this at 6 minutes 30 seconds. So we're just about to hit a rolling boil here within a minute of this. I'm going to turn this off so I don't boil all the water away. But let's call that boiled. And we're just hitting a boil here now, which is interesting. This is running at 1,800 watts. This is running at 1,000 watts. That means we're going to get quite a bit more battery life out of our portable power stations because we run this maybe a minute longer. So that's what, 15% more time, but we're using half the energy. Okay, now the fan noise that you can hear, I just want to point this out. This is coming from the Amazon one that I bought, the $70 one. That has a fan in it, keeping it cool. The Stoke Voltiacs one makes no noise whatsoever. There's no fan coming from this. And before you could hear the just the roar of the flame from the boiler on the burner on the Jetboil. Now the next thing we're going to look at is what actually drew me to Stoke Voltiacs. That is the Jewel boiler cup. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's like a Jetboil, the original Jetboil, where they got famous for having the really fast water boiler. You screw the gas canister onto the bottom. But before we do, let me give you some of my thoughts on these 3 camping cooking stove systems. So now the other really important thing I want you to think about when considering what type of stove to bring is what kind of conditions are you using it in outdoors. Very often when I'm cooking, it is windy. And one problem that both Chef John and I see with the Jetboil is that it doesn't have a good wind protection system. Now it came with this flimsy clear plastic shroud that I'm not even really sure how that would survive in the case. And while the pot does a good job in my garage where there is no wind, a lot of heat gets carried away from this. And I bought one of these little fold out metal shrouds that we can go around the outside edge. It offers some support and it does help, but it really doesn't make a massive difference. That is not a problem with an inductive cooktop, and that is a huge plus for these. It doesn't matter what kind of condition you're cooking in, although rain might be interesting. Just put something over top of you so that you're not standing there in the pouring rain cooking. If I were to try to rank them 1, 2, and 3, I'm not sure there is a clear winner. The Stoke Voltiacs system is simple, it's compact, and as well it uses less energy to boil 1 liter of water than the generic top off of Amazon. This is quite expensive for what you get, and you have to deal with proprietary cookware. The generic inductive cooktop off of Amazon, well, it's cheap. It's 70 or 80 bucks, but you're gonna have to spend some more money buying Ferris pots and pans and bring those along with you. Bang for your buck, this is going to be the cheapest solution out of all of them. Taking this everywhere. It's rattled, bounced, and banged around in a box for the better part of 2 years on some major trails, and it still stands up to the test. I would really like to see a hybrid of the two, maybe a top that goes on it to protect the glass. That would be really cool. It'd also be a lot less expensive because I could just buy the base and then I could just pick whatever pots and pans I want. Now, if you want to see the full breakdown of the Jetboil, like I said earlier, I'll put it up in the corner. But the Jetboil is expensive, but you know, it's going to work with any pot and pan. It does come with a system of its own to boil water even faster than a inductive cooktop. The other side of this is you still got to carry these guys around. You got to carry gas canisters around. So the Joule is what actually drew my interest to first find out about Stoke Voltiacs and their systems. I came across this, and this has a foam outer liner. It holds, how much is this? So it holds 473 milliliters, very specific number, but that's equivalent to 16 ounces. I won't get you guys with the liter joke twice in the same video. It has like I said, a foam insulated outside so that when this is hot, you can actually pick this up. It's got a little handle on the side. What's really nice is it has a 3-pin power plug. This is like a generic power plug that the EcoFlow power stations use. And it's got 3 settings. This is where it has drink mode, which is you turn it on and it just boils the water hot, and then it turns off once it's there. If you want to make a soup, or if you have a freeze-dried meal, I always keep a handful of those in my vehicle in case something happens, I need to make a meal. You can boil the water with this. And then the second setting is called Eat. That is going to be just get up to temperature and then hold a temperature if you need to cook something for a while. So if you're going to make that soup, you want to, let it simmer for a little while. You want to make oatmeal, which is great in the cold in the winter. The third setting is called Pop. Not for like the drink, not soda. You can actually make popcorn in here. Can this replace my tried and true Nespresso espresso machine? This is not portable, but I consider it portable because I've taken it everywhere. Now, big differences here. One, this draws 1,000 watts. So you need a larger inverter in your portable power station. The EcoFlow Delta 3 Plus has a huge one. It has no problem running this. This is the new River 3 from EcoFlow. I think it's on for like 179 bucks US right now. The only downside is the Joule runs at up to 500 watts. So that means you're going to be a bit limited with the inverter, but this inverter will put out up to 300 watts. And so this will just run at 300 watts. It'll just take a little bit longer to heat up, but you don't need a massive inverter. It works perfectly fine. I'll show you here. If we turn this on and we set this to drink, there we go. It's going to spool up, and it's only going to get 300 watts from the EcoFlow. Yeah, so the Jetboil, the regular Jetboil, this is the one I'm talking about here. You can see that. That guy, 4 minutes, 10 seconds, according to internet benchmarks. So we'll plug this in and see just how fast we can do this with full juice. And while we're waiting, so that doesn't melt my phone, by comparison, you can see just how fast the Nespresso can make a cup of coffee. Basically, you hit a button, it's going to take a second to warm up. And you can see the EcoFlow is now drawing 1,500 watts, so we got the 1,000 plus 500. There we go. So we just hit about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And I think we're just about to hit a boil. It's going to turn off automatically because we've set it to drink mode. Yeah, there it goes. It just shut off. So morning coffee production time does go up a little bit. And we're going to have a little bit of cleanup because we're going to have to wash out the grounds. Oh, it's spilling all over my table. Okay, we'll put that up close to the top. It's hot. It's hotter than the Nespresso, that's for sure. Ooh, that is strong. I think this is definitely a contender in the camping coffee space. The French press style coffee. If you're a coffee person, you enjoy good coffee, a French press is a great way to make a good cup of coffee. If you want to find any of the products from this video, as I mentioned, you can find them all down in the description below. There's links to everything. They are affiliate links. They do support me in making videos with a small commission. No charge to you guys. I appreciate it. Even if you just click on them and you're not thinking about buying something, just take a look at the stuff. That helps me out a ton. And I think I'm gonna have to bring some popcorn with me on my next off-road adventure. I know you guys have been asking when I'm going out. I took a little break for the summer, do stuff with the family. Gonna be heading out in a couple weeks. I'm gonna bring this with me and try it out on the trail. My name's Casey. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe, leave any questions you have down in the comments below, and check out some of the other gear reviews and features that I have on the channel, because I think you'll find some interesting stuff there. I'll catch you guys next week in the next video.